Welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I'm your host, Alison Price, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arwynne O'Neill.
Hi, Alison. It's great to be here again.
So nice to have you. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about Pluto in Aquarius.
Yes.
Now, Pluto is moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. It's had a couple of goes in and out, in and out, in and out.
And got one more on the horizon.
And by the end of 2024, it was fully in, but it's not at the moment. It's still having another go.
Yeah, it's going to be ingressing 21st of January, and it will be in Aquarius almost until September 1st. It'll retrograde September 1st through November 19th into Capricorn, and then it'll have the final ingress on November 19th, and then it will be in Aquarius until 2043.
Wow, so that's a long time. Yeah. So it's still hovering over that cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius. Yeah. The 29 degree, the 0 degree, the 29 degree, the 0 degree.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little bit of a more of look into as Pluto goes into Aquarius, what it perhaps means for the different houses.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will probably do another podcast about this because it's such a rich topic.
Yeah.
In November, we already have a video out there, which was posted about a year ago on YouTube. So please, if you want to hear a bit more in depth about what our thoughts are on just generally Pluto and Aquarius, that is a great little conversation we had about a year ago when it first went in.
And the link to that blog post will be below the show notes here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
But this time we're going to be talking basically about what it's going to mean in your chart. So this is the second time it's gone into Aquarius, and it's the second of three. But we're going to be talking this time about basically what it means for you, and focusing a little on the world. But obviously Pluto is a major. It's a minor planet with a major effect.
It's got a lot of oomph, hasn't it, Pluto?
Really does. Yeah.
It's not a planet to be ignored.
No.
Demoted
maybe, but never ignored.
No, exactly. And so what we're looking at is as Pluto enters Aquarius, which of the houses it's going to affect in your own chart as it shifts from the one sign into the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what Pluto does in your chart as it travels through a particular sign, and it can take between 12 and 30 years to go through any given sign. In particular, it went through Capricorn starting in 2008. And all of those institutions, all those Capricornian, words and concepts that we have, the patriarchy, the workplace, big banks, big pharma, governments, the idea,
LinkedIn.
Yeah, the idea that there's only two genders, all of these, the stock market, money as a physical concept that's linked to an actual resource. All of these things were ripe for disruption and transformation, and that has been absolutely what's occurred since 2008. And we're seeing kind of the last gasps of some of those institutions to this day, and we are going to see a huge amount of transformation and challenge and in-depth archaeology of concepts about Aquarian concepts coming up this year.
Forward, yeah. And we have had a bit of a bubbling under as it popped into Aquarius and went back.
Yeah.
We'll probably be talking about that as well, about
AI, ChatGPT, the total transformation of the workplace, and concepts of, technology versus independent creators, and individuality versus
the creator economy,
groupthink, the creator economy, the gig economy. Does that give you more or less freedom as a human being? Are we becoming more human than human, or is while we create the AI, is it turning us into machines? And
I think a lot of this movement of Pluto into Aquarius has shown that individuals and everybody, it's leveled the playing fields, so everyone can have a voice, as we do now in this podcast. There's no one censoring us. We can have a voice and give our opinion, whereas previously there was no way you could do it.
No, you'd have to write a letter to the editor and hope that they published it in the newspaper of your choice, or publish some little zine that you'd Xerox and mail out to people, and spend money on stamps and an actual mailing list, and there was no unsubscribe button. So
no,
who knows.
Whereas now as this has come through with all the AI stuff to start with, and also the from our point of view, we have actually done this. We, created this astrology podcast, giving our opinion, giving our slant on the astrology that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
I mean, there are multiple astrology podcasts out there, but they're mainly horoscope sites.
Yeah.
However, for us to not be censored, such as you would be in some of the bigger places, like even YouTube will chop you down if you step out of line.
Oh, gosh,
but here we are at least able to give our opinion. And it's like, I feel like sometimes I'm standing on my soapbox saying, hey, the sky is falling. But I can give my opinion, and that's what I like about this Aquarian theme that's coming through.
Absolutely.
The transformation.
It's really interesting to me, too, the fact that Aquarius is opposite Leo. And Leo is the sign of, like, the celebrity and the drama and the ego and all of these things. And Aquarius has a very interesting flip side to that, because there's a great responsibility that comes with the kind of freedom,
to create,
because then it's like you have the freedom to create, but then it's not just like you have the freedom to, maybe have a side hustle. Then there's like this, you're kind of obligated to have a side hustle because maybe now it's a gig economy and you can't rely on institutions anymore.
Exactly.
You can't rely on the man to provide. You can't assume that you'll have one career for the rest of your life. Obviously. I mean, we all know this now, but it's going to become more and more.
From here on in, this is coming through.
It's not, we're not going to retrograde back into institutions taking care of us. Yeah.
This is it. I mean, I did do an episode on the Leo creators in the Aquarian economy and, the gig economy. And it's about that the creativity that individuals have, which is a total human thing to have once you've elevated yourself on Maslow's hierarchy of needs up to be able to create.
Self-actualization.
Yes. Yeah. That you can, as we are doing now, put yourself forward, do your art, whatever it is, and share your opinions and whatever values you have through the actual, the internet, which is Aquarius, and the fact that we are now able to put our words out there, I think it's great. Yeah,
and it's using all of these tools. It's using the tools that technology has leveled and given us.
Yeah.
So,
like ChatGPT,
like Midjourney, like all of these, podcasting apps.
Yeah,
and like there's a certain expenditure of initial funds for some of them. For others, not at all. For others, it's
minimal.
Yeah, minimal. And you can actually get away with shockingly no expenditure in some cases.
Yes.
But it's just, it also creates an interesting thing for the masses where you have information overload. There's no authority anymore. Who do you trust? Where do you get your news? Mm-hmm. Then you have like tribal news where you have certain like facts that are believed by entire factions and then other sets of facts that are believed by another faction. Right. And there's no more going to just the authority and saying, well, what is the actual truth?
Exactly.
Do the vaccines cause whatever or whatever?
Is CNN the only source? No.
Yeah, there's no single source anymore.
Yeah.
Which is great in some ways and terrible in some ways and just our new reality.
It's a shift. It's definitely a shift. Yeah. As Pluto enters Aquarius, this is really what we're going to be chatting about.
So that sets the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just going back to, what does this look like for all of us? With Pluto intensifies and brings up the potential dark side of any sign that it travels through. You look at all the Capricornian institutions, blah, blah, what I just said. But then with Aquarius, what does that mean? It means that we will have revolutions in technology, social media. We will continue to have more shocking scientific breakthroughs, and groups and organizations will continue to sort of shift with our personality and our identity and the way we see ourselves as people versus society versus, our affiliations with groups. And are we living in a simulation? We are being challenged to find and hold on to our humanity and our connections and our sense of empathy as humans in an increasingly Aquarian world of the future, which is not an empathetic sign. It's a very detached sign. It's the sign of humanitarianism, but it's not humanity. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting thing about trying to, encompass all of these things and accept them and use them as tools without letting them sort of destroy our humanity in the process, or take all the fun out of the creativity of being a human. And, like this meme said something about, when I wanted a robot assistant, I didn't think it was going to take all the, the art and music and writing,
Yeah.
Like I thought it would do all the drudgery, but no, now it's going to do all the art and music and, and writing. And the artists are now having to like just drive Uber or whatever.
Well, yeah, that in itself, yeah.
Yeah, so this is.
But it's almost as though individuals now, such as you and myself, we can find our tribe and align with that, rather than giving virtually no choice that Capricorn brought along.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I've got one little quote that I want to read from Dina DeCastro's blog post on Pluto in Aquarius. She's a wonderful astrologer based in Portland, Oregon. And I believe we've quoted her in the past, but she's got a podcast. She's a wonderful astrologer. And we're going to link to her post at the bottom here. But what she says about Pluto in Aquarius, especially going through, your chart, is that Pluto is about owning our own shadow and bringing to consciousness our deepest fears. Aquarius is about being authentic and unfiltered and not caring what others think. It's time to incite your own personal, private revolution regarding some facet of your life while letting go of the need for approval as much as possible. If you know your chart, the house and planets affected by Pluto as it enters Aquarius will give you a clue as to where this revolution wants to happen. When you put your efforts towards deepening your authenticity in that area, you are able to connect with your meaningful role in the unfolding drama of the next 20 years.
Great.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is where Pluto is going to be in your chart.
Okay.
And what that is going to mean for you, possibly.
Fantastic. So we're going to go through the houses.
We're going to go through the houses, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. And this starts with Pluto in Aquarius in the first house. And we're going to be, obviously the houses have a certain meaning, and Pluto in Aquarius has a certain meaning. So it's kind of a brain dump of keywords, really.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
Yeah. So we use Placidus houses here at Starzology, but if you use, whole sign houses, your mileage may vary. So if you have, for example, like myself, I have Aquarius on my 4th house cusp at 12 degrees Aquarius. So when we start out, it's going to be in my 3rd house. And then at some point in the next 20 years, probably just in like a few, 5 or 7 years or whatever, it's going to go into my 4th house. So you want to look at your chart and see where 0 degrees of Aquarius is. What house is that?
Yes.
And then consult an ephemeris or consult your astrologer and find out when it's going to be going into the next house.
So for you, it's 3rd house.
For me, it's 3rd house and then 4th house. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. So transits to planets also. This is another thing we're not going to talk about today because who knows?
So many.
Who knows where your chart? Yeah. But any planets that you have in Aquarius will be having a Pluto conjunction over the course of the next 20 years.
Yeah.
If you have any planets at 0 to the first few degrees of Aquarius, or Taurus, Leo, or Scorpio, because those fixed signs will all be receiving hard aspects from Pluto. Mm-hmm. So anything you have in 0 degrees of any fixed sign will be a very sensitive point in the coming year. Mm-hmm. So you want to look at your chart and see if you have anything at 0, 1, 2 degrees.
Right, right. So that's the area of the zodiac we're focusing on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So Pluto in Aquarius in the 1st house. The 1st house obviously is about self-expression, your appearance, your physical body, your health, and your vitality. So what you're going to want to look for in the next year to however long, ego issues, challenges, and transformation to your personality, your identity, your ego, or your self-expression through your involvement with groups or organizations. So how does your identity, how is it impacted by the groups you belong to? Exercising self-control versus controlling others, which is a big thing with Pluto, because Pluto has this sort of focusing on power dynamics, power struggles. And with that Pluto in Aquarius, it's really going to be about whether you're being dominated or whether you are,
the dominatrix.
Yeah, right. So using technology or scientific breakthroughs to change your appearance or your identity, or using it to change the way you express your health or your physical vitality.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So this is this is going to apply to anyone also with Aquarius rising.
Mm-hmm.
And check the degree of Aquarius on your ascendant if you do have Aquarius rising, because your Pluto transit may begin in the 12th house and then move into the first house. And that's going to be something to really, that'll definitely
focus in on. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Second house. Obviously, second house is about money. It's about values. It's about your self-worth and your resources. So expect challenges and changes to your relationship with money and your possessions, using technology to make money, and your relationship to money versus your personal freedom and control over your life. Cryptocurrencies, investing, and a transformation of what is valuable. So that's a big thing for all of us. Technology has always changed what is valuable. You collect something and then you stick it in the storage locker and then you find, oh my God, that's worth, a ton now. Or like me, you have boxes of CDs and DVDs, which had value like 12 to, 15 years ago, which are now like utterly worthless. Yeah. Except, of course, for weird random collectors of certain things, like, not to get into a tangent. How many times do I say that per podcast? Anyway, but we were talking to a friend and we are all fans of a certain band. And we were talking about this one DVD that they released like 15 years ago or so. And we mentioned that we had it. And he was like, oh my God, do you know like how much that's worth now? And I'm like, it's a DVD, like probably nothing. And he's like, no, like, and he's pulling up eBay as we're talking. Wow. He's like showing me he's like $300. This, and we bought it when it first came out, have played it maybe once. Yeah. We're huge fans of the band, but it's a DVD. Like,
Who even has a player? I don't know. Maybe.
Right. I mean, well, we have an Xbox. But,
okay. Well, I couldn't play a DVD if you.
Right. But it was so funny. I was like, you really think that's worth it? And he's like, yeah, like there would be people who are, and he's looking at it like it's like some treasured object, which is hilarious.
Well, it's like vinyl coming back, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it could be. Yeah. It hasn't happened yet, but certainly that's something to look for.
What you're valuing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Third house.
It's about communication.
This is you, right?
Actually, wait.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. Right. Absolutely. So it's about communication. It's about thinking. It's about writing. It's also about your siblings and your neighborhood, your short distance travel, where you go on a day-to-day kind of basis, just your local sort of sphere. Revolutionary changes are coming to your day-to-day activities and interactions, your style of thinking, the communications that you produce, and your use of technology to communicate.
And isn't this so true with what's happening in your life at the moment? How the new technology is permeating and you are having to adapt.
Yeah.
Or die.
Or die, exactly. Pluto. But what's interesting is that when Pluto was in Capricorn, that from 2008 to now has been the entire time, give or take, like maybe 4 or 5 years before that, where I was an independent contractor in communications.
Yeah.
So before that, I did web design, blah, 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 whatever. But being a communicator, on my job description, on my LinkedIn profile, it says communications. That's the first word. And that's been since Pluto was in my third house.
Okay.
In Capricorn first, because that was like how to make money at it, how to, be an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. And now it's going to be how to use technology. And
so that first word, is that first word going to change then, do you think?
I think it'll still be communications, but it's definitely going to be about how,
Yeah.
Yeah. And using all the media and all the tools. And
Yes. Yeah. Good. Sounds great.
And also the finding your tribe thing, because that is definitely a big thing with Aquarius.
It's very true. To find your place, you don't need a million friends. You just need 5 close.
Yeah.
Be a member of, if you're in the photography group or something.
Yeah.
You go where your people are.
Yeah. It's never been easier to find those types of connections. And they will become more and more important, because that will be how we find jobs and fulfillment and your way of expressing yourself.
Your creative expression.
Yeah. And unless you want to literally rely on the algorithm to push every little thing, everything you watch, everything you consume, every partner you have, you want to rely on the algorithm to choose your next mate for you. No, like find your tribe and make friends and have your friends introduce you to their friends.
Exactly.
And, I mean, I'm not saying you can't meet through an app. I have some amazing friends who have literally met their soulmates through apps. But just the reliance on being able to shop for everything through an app is a recipe for, I don't know. Said the person who has been with her partner for 25 years.
There you go.
I know. That's, what is that? Some kind of privilege talking. I'm sorry. Anyway.
You're good. Don't worry. Yeah,
cool. Okay.
All right. Let's move on to the fourth house.
The fourth house. This is the house of the home, your family, your childhood origins, the father usually, but occasionally the mother, and your deep memories. You're deeply entrenched, those pathways that were laid down in childhood.
Yeah.
So challenges or transformations to your home life, intense exchanges with family members, or the excavation of childhood trauma, coming to terms with weird or eccentric family values, because weird and eccentric is all about Aquarius, foundational versus chosen values in living your life, rewriting psychological patterns you've lived with unthinkingly since childhood, and rethinking what it means to be secure in your home environment, possible challenges to integrating technology into your home life and into your social groups, and how that social versus home life overlaps.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah.
Fifth house. It's the house of children. It's the house of creative pursuits, of love, recreation, gambling, and hobbies. It's a great house.
We love the fifth house.
Yeah, the fifth house is awesome. It's transformative approaches to child rearing and or creative pursuits and projects, making art through technology or in collaboration with others, communal spaces, power struggles with children, adapting to new ways of parenting or bringing creative ideas to life, and the urge for freedom and originality or eccentricity and innovation versus adhering to group norms or societal expectations as it pertains to either raising children or how to be creative.
Right.
And that is, I think, a huge thing. Being a parent in the digital age, God. I don't have any children, and I have friends who do, and they are so brave.
Yes.
It
Nobody warned you. No.
I mean, how could they? How could they know? How would they know that your kid would have access to the entire world of information and every photo of everything that's ever been imagined at their fingertips when they're like 8?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Horrifying. And daunting. But that is the challenge of the fifth house.
Okay.
Sixth house. This is you. Yay. The house of daily work, your job, your health, pets, coworkers, volunteer work.
It's work.
So revolutions or challenges to your daily activities, your work or health, and a crisis in any of those areas that results in a deeper awareness and transformation. So making sure to take care of your health, not overworking, finding a balance between focusing on your personal needs and the needs of your group, your coworkers, your pets, your whoever you're trying to help. Helping yourself first is a big thing. And using technologies to track health or to make your job easier, using your digital quote unquote assistant to actually assist you and not just make more work for you, but actually make your life easier, and learning how to, learning how to program your daily activities so that the effects on your health and your daily life rhythms are less harmed.
And it's funny because coming into the January, my priorities, it's actually on that whiteboard, is prioritize my health. Because honestly, I really kind of haven't been. It's just, Yeah. But this year, and during this period, there's a focus on it to make sure I don't want to say eating the greens, but basically eating the greens. And I really try to eat purples as well.
Yeah.
Because greens can just be too much. And cutting back on the alcohol and paying attention to health and what I'm actually eating, and not eating those high fructose corn syrups, which I've recently been exploring, and I'm horrified. Yeah. So it's awareness and this is one thing I'm focusing on. Whereas although I say it's all work, it always has been since Pluto entered my sixth house. It's been non-stop. But I am now focusing on trying to modulate what I'm putting in so that my brain works better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Andrew Huberman. But anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah. Shout out the the fitness
I
pros.
know.
Yeah.
And things that I'm thinking, really? How come I didn't know this? All I've got through all my life.
Because we're not organic chemists.
I know,
My God.
right?
Like keeping track of all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
So
exhausting.
definitely it's that's one thing that I am very aware of at the moment, that I'm trying to consciously be aware of, instead of just eating any old thing. I'm particular now about what goes on my plate.
That is one one thing that's an unequivocal good about modern technology and about the information age, is the cycle of something being unhealthy for you and that coming out and it being shunned and suddenly like
margarine, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Like that took decades.
Yes.
But now when something is like unhealthy, all of a sudden, oh, okay, sugar-free this, sugar-free that, like not just saccharin, not just like NutraSweet, God forbid, but now there's actual like healthy versions of things quickly coming to market. As soon as something becomes, oh, wait, this is a terrible thing for you, don't do this, all of a sudden there's alternatives. And it's not like you have to scour the shelves of some obscure little health food store anymore. You're actually able to just go into a normal store and all of a sudden find alternatives like pretty quickly, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That is,
it's amazing.
I will actually like reveal one of the things I found like last week. I bought juice in so long because it's basically just a sugar bomb and chemicals and whatnot. But there are sugar derivatives that are like healthier, like erythritol and stevia. These things are, alternatives that are not terrible for you. They're not just chemicals.
Is it monk fruit or something?
Monk fruit, I use that in my coffee. But I found a not artificial, it's an erythritol sweetened grapefruit juice and blueberry juice that has like 10 calories per serving, per cup. Yeah. Which is insane. That's like such a revolution. I mean, it's actually, I've already started, making cocktails and not so cocktails, whatever, at home with that. And it just makes me so happy because I avoided juice for like the last 5 years because it's like, oh no, that's just sugar. But now I can actually drink grapefruit juice, which I love.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. These small changes to health can make a big difference down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. 7th house, long-term relationships, business partners, open enemies. That open enemy thing is always a hilarious one, but we do have them sometimes.
We do.
And spouses, of course. Making sure your relationships are on equal footing, are based on sharing common interests, ideals, allowing for self-expression, your individuality, but yet also, serving a higher purpose. And so, your business relationship might be harming the world. Don't do that. Even if it's profitable, this is going to be a time where those things are going to be coming to light faster and faster. If you're just finding a way to game this system and screw everyone over, like don't do it.
Don't do it.
It'll bite you, and Pluto will.
It's public domain. This is Aquarius. It's public domain.
Exactly.
Every time you make a wrong step.
Yeah, and it will be forever on your record.
Yeah, there is no privacy anymore. This is my view. It's just you just don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is about business relationships, but it's also, I mean, there are harmful relationships that end up hurting everyone who's in the sphere of that relationship. And I think all know of couples like that or businesses, obviously, but yeah, don't be part of the problem. Forming unconventional relationships is a part of this, or revolutionizing your approach to relationships to allow for more personal freedom, more eccentricity, or revolutionary aspirations. Using your relationships as a motivating factor in some sort of humanitarian goal. Relationships will be intensified or put under a microscope during this time, or challenged by new technologies. And that's obviously a thing. This is a good time to seek outside help if your relationships are in crisis. Crowdsource solutions to personal or partnership issues. Don't go it alone.
It's like these apps, Better Health and stuff, isn't it? There where you can get a counselor online and don't wait to
and don't just trust the the system, the medical system necessarily. There are a lot of community apps now where you can actually upload your symptoms, and it's not just a matter of like kind of conspiracy snowball effect of like going and saying, oh, I have this problem, and then you go to Dr. Google and it tells you you're going to die in like 17,000 different ways. Well, this is more like, it's almost like a crowdsourced AI of like, you can put in symptoms, and there are certain, I can't quote it because I'm, I don't remember, but a few years ago, they created some database where you could put in all of your symptoms, and it was actually the first time humans were able to do this instead of going through the intermediary of a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually were able to find all kinds of amazing connections between certain clusters of types of symptoms and find answers to what exactly. Like, I think Lyme disease was one of these where it was a huge mystery for so long of like, there's all these symptoms, but it's not really clear why people are having these symptoms. And through these crowdsourced sort of things, which is a very Aquarian thing, crowdsourcing, they were able to actually kind of narrow down, this is a cluster of symptoms that has to do with this. And it's not a mystery anymore. It's not just, they're faking or hysteria or whatever. And I think that's going to become more and more prevalent, especially with the actual AI.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the unequivocal good uses of AI. It's not just going to be able to write your term papers, but it's going to be able to actually diagnose.
It does. It's very clever.
Better than, an individual doctor in some cases.
Great.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. 8th house.
8th house.
Debts, inheritances, death, taxes, and sex. It's everyone's favorite house, right?
Yep, it is. The inevitables of life.
Yes. So challenges to your approach to shared resources and finances, avoiding get-rich-quick schemes, high-tech fraud, manipulation, power struggles around money or inheritances, high-tech solutions. Scams, a huge thing. Every day you hear about new and crazy ways that they're, It's definitely going to just get worse, but you can also use high-tech solutions to protect yourself, and it's not going to be an option to just not understand how it works anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
High-tech solutions to sexual dysfunctions, that's a fun one, or to relationship problems, revolutionary approaches to life extension or dealing with the fear of death, Aquarian detachment versus the depths of emotion in the face of primal human experiences and fears.
Now, this is one where I feel that this business of euthanasia is coming into play.
Totally.
The
right to die.
Yeah, that will be readdressed during this time when Pluto's in this area.
Absolutely. And not to point any fingers, but the baby boomers have definitely, I think, been leading the charge already with that. There's been, I can't count how many books there have been, massive tomes called Mortality or, like How to Die or How Not to Die. Yeah. And it's just, we're going to have more and more of that, and technology is going to help. And not only that, but I think we're going to see really revolutionary approaches to funerary rites, to burial is going to be a thing of the past. Even cremation now has issues. We're going to have a lot of, I think, really interesting new ways of approaching that whole thing. But also not even just the actual death thing, but the process of dying in a way. Do you anticipate that we'll be able to upload our consciousness, or oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't know. This is something that's going to be in the next 20 years.
It will be addressed.
It'll be addressed. Yeah. It'll be, whether or not that's going to be ever a possibility, it's certainly going to be discussed more and more and more, because Pluto in Aquarius is going to be exploring all those frontiers.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. 9th house, philosophy, travel, higher learning, teaching and publishing, and intellectual pursuits. So expect challenges or revolutionary changes to your beliefs, your expanding of horizons, finding new and innovative ways to express or explore your philosophical beliefs in groups or communities, avoiding fanaticism, using your intellect and curiosity to bring about reforms, organizing your thoughts so you can teach others or be a thought leader. Yeah. And travel,
and education,
and also the revolutionizing of education, I think, is a huge thing. Just realizing that, especially, maybe not so much in Canada, but certainly in the U.S., the university system is an utter godforsaken racket. It is so expensive, and a degree is increasingly useless at so many different universities. And also, there's all the controversy about what you actually are learning and what degrees are useless now because of AI. or will be by the time you actually graduate. When you choose something and you think, oh, I'm going into a really useful field that's on the cutting edge of whatever, and then 5 years from now, there's not going to be any jobs in that field. So, yeah, just really crowdsourcing education, or technology, sort of lower
online courses,
yeah, and just finding a way to constantly kind of be in a learning position, but
lifelong learning.
It's very important. Yeah, and increasingly. 10th house is the house of career, of status, of reputation, of fame, of leadership. So this is going to be about achieving status through technology, learning to be your own boss, harnessing the power of technology to lead others, being an influencer, leading by example while avoiding the pitfalls of tyranny and manipulation in groups over which you have authority, power, or influence, and exploring innovative ways to be a leader, influencer, or expert in your field, organization, political party, society, etc.
Yeah, and building a career through technology.
Yeah.
And it's the creator economy all over again. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And also organizations having to rethink,
yes.
Do we drag everyone back to the office?
No.
No, please.
I don't want to go.
No.
Nobody wants to go.
No. And
hail the 4-day week. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, all of those things. And also, there's a housing shortage in most cities. What about all that office space that is just sitting there?
Yeah.
Most of the time. We live in an office building. You and I. We live in a building that is actually an office building. And sure, it makes it difficult for people to find us when they use Google Maps. They're like, it looks like an office building, blah, blah, blah. But like all of that.
But they're transforming many offices now in the bigger cities.
Yeah.
In Chicago, in Calgary, and in London, I know. It's not an easy change because of the shape of the building, but it can be done, and it needs to be done.
Yeah.
We don't need offices because our office is now where you are, where you are with your computer.
Absolutely.
Either at the coffee shop or in bed.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I cannot recommend it highly enough. I love living in an office building. It's wonderful.
I know, right? 24-hour concierge, you can't beat it.
And great view, and I run up the stairs as exercise.
Oh my God, Arwynne takes the stairs.
I do, but do that or pay for a gym membership, right?
Oh no, you're doing the right thing. I admire you for doing
it. All right, enough about stairs. 11th house, it's the house of groups, friends, society, your social networks, idealism, and connecting with friends and groups through technology, bringing progressive and humanitarian ideals to the forefront, revolutionizing or challenging your approach to relationships and group interactions, changing dynamics of your group associations over the next 2 decades of your life, because obviously our groups and affiliations change naturally with the course of our life.
Yeah.
But technology will continue to make that different and interesting and challenging, and in some ways easier and in some ways harder. And it's never been easier to keep in touch with everyone you've ever met.
But I don't like online group meetings. Our 2 astrology groups here in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have in person, which was really the best way. That's what I liked. The social connection.
I honestly never have done any of the Zoom ones.
No, I can't. It's just, I can't sit there.
Even though I worked from home and I've done that remote thing since 2010, but yeah, there's just something about...
you want that personal connection, so that needs to come back. Yeah.
During COVID, I took a burlesque class online, and I will never, ever, can you imagine, in the bedroom, looking at the TV screen, trying to look in the mirror at the same... What a waste of... Yeah,
It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's not at all.
It's not the same.
Anyway. Yes, changing dynamics of group associations, avoiding fanaticism and being led astray by fringe groups or eccentric friends, and the need for self-awareness of your individual values versus groupthink, because it's so easy to become sort of swept away when you're in a group that has powerful beliefs and you want to fit in. We all always want to fit in.
You want to belong.
Yeah.
All right.
12th house, institutions, unconscious compulsions, self-undoing, that old self-undoing, spirituality, hidden enemies, hospitals, prisons, and shadowy organizations. So feeling trapped or alienated, the need to connect with people or find deeper meaning in a time of increased technological reliance, feeling detached, which is that Aquarian thing, feeling meaninglessness, which is a 12th house thing, feeling like we're living in a simulation, escapism, avoiding the lure of detachment and the harmful effects of extreme thinking and extremes of detached and living in a, metaverse or, whatever kind of escapism you have to find in order to deal with the cognitive dissonance of modern life. Using technology to seek deeper meaning and connections versus giving into loneliness or spiritual anxiety and the fear of death.
Yeah. I think this placement also is the final death knell for traditional churches and modern day spirituality, call it what you will, the New Age, where people still want to, even these people who do these morning gratitude journals, it's another way of praying in a way, like we used to do back at, and now this is the new way of doing it.
Yeah, you're not asking God for this or that, you're asking yourself.
You're manifesting, and it's the same principle, but it's different now under Aquarius, Good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Arwynne, so we've gone through, we've had a second look at Pluto in Aquarius. We've had the second kick up the can. This time we've had a closer look at how it's going to be when Pluto enters Aquarius in particular houses. And it's been great. And as you said, we will revisit this again later in the year. So it's always exciting when Pluto changes signs. When I first began to learn astrology back in 1980, Pluto had just entered Scorpio, and it was the big thing. It was the event of the year. Oh my God, And it was like, and I'm as a new astrologer thinking, what? Scorpio, what? Pluto, what? But now we've moved through several signs, and now here we are this year with the final push through into Aquarius from Capricorn. So the future is nigh.
It is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me once more on this podcast. It's been great having you.
It has been great being here.
And and thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And if you found value in this episode, please consider sharing it with someone who would be interested. And if you have any questions, you can email us at starzology@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Arwynne, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the two main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer or someone who's learning astrology or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there. Or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.